The Oscars gave us masterpieces, overrated art films, and movies that feel like punishment. So I ranked them all, twice. I made 2 separate tier lists, one for casual viewers and one for critics, or let's say, people who really love cinema. By casuals, I don't mean people who are quote-unquote less smart. I mean people who watch movies to be entertained. You don't need a film degree to enjoy a movie. And critics? Those are the people who appreciate slower films, deeper themes, and subtle performances, even when nothing really happens. Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. I left out the documentary and the shorts categories, except the one for live action ones, because I have actually watched those. This video isn't about the winners. This video is about ranking the nominees based on how worthy they are of your time. Before we get into the rankings, here's a quick explanation of the ranking system. S tier or must watch. Essential cinema. If you haven't seen these, what are you doing? A tier or great. Very solid, most people will enjoy it. B tier or good. Decent but not essential. C tier or mixed. You might like it, you might hate it. And D tier or skip. You could watch this or you could watch paint dry. Alright, let's see which of these 2026 heavyweights actually lived up to the hype and which ones were just academy based. Let's get into it. Butcher's Dame. A story about an Arab-Israeli butcher who gets falsely accused by a coworker of tearing down posters of hostages, creating some tense moments here and there, but ultimately ends up playing it way too safely. This is one of those rare ones that I can say both sides can comfortably skip. A Friend of Dorothy. A sweet but totally predictable short movie about an unlikely friendship that forms between a lonely widow and a 17-year-old boy who accidentally kicks his ball into her garden. Great performances but very forgettable plot. I'd say this one is slightly better, so I'm going to put it into C tier for both of them. Jane Austen's period drama. It's a cheeky satirical Jane Austen parody that follows a woman who gets in her first period, which her suitor mistakes for an injury, and she has to explain to him what is happening. Funny and charming, but the satire stays very surface level, making it not so memorable compared to some of the other nominees in the shorts category. It's still nice to see a comedy get nominated for anything in 2026. I'm gonna say, this is probably C tier again for both of them. Diane Warren, Relentless, is a documentary about the 17 times Oscar nominated 0 times winner Diane Warren. As the title says, it documents her relentlessness for winning an Oscar. It just comes off a bit desperate. I can't say I blame her though, but if she ever does win an Oscar, that speech better be legendary. Other than that, I gotta say, this is definitely a skip for both of these. You're not really losing out on anything by not watching it. Unless you're a huge fan of hers, I recommend you just skip this one. Viva Verdi. The other of the 2 documentaries that snuck onto this list. I know, I said I'm not doing documentaries in this video, and in my defense, the only reason I saw both of these is because they were nominated in the Best Original Song category. This one follows a group of celebrated opera singers and musicians living in a retirement home in Italy, mentoring students. Not much else to say about this. It's very forgettable to say the least. This is yet another one of those that you can just comfortably skip. Kokuho is a Japanese historical drama nominated for Best Makeup and Hairstyling. The story centers around the son of a Yakuza leader who, after the death of his father, is taken under the wing of a famous kabuki actor. Alongside the actor's son, he decides to dedicate his life to this traditional form of art. This is a 3-hour epic that spans decades following the 2 young men. The movie is beautifully shot and directed and explores the dedication artists put into their craft, but unless you're interested in Japanese theater, history, and culture, I say you can comfortably skip it. For critics, this is slightly higher because it's a decent, actually pretty good drama, but for casual, I say this is definitely a skip. The Smashing Machine. Dwayne Johnson's passion project biopic about the MMA fighter Mark Kerr's rise, struggles, and addiction and career in the early UFC era. This is a slow movie where The Rock stretches its acting skills, but it certainly still feels like he is in his own lane. That said, the story does deliver an interesting look at the life of a UFC fighter and a slow character growth focusing on overcoming addiction and moving on towards normalcy. For critics, I'd say unless you really like Dwayne Johnson, you can skip this movie, but for casuals usually really like Dwayne Johnson, and I can see them enjoying this movie more than critics would. And that's why I'd say for casuals, I think this might be the first movie in the B tier. Sirat, a movie about a father and son going to a desert rave in order to find her lost daughter. What a crazy movie. This movie starts out with a bad situation and somehow, when you think things can't get any worse than this, right? They do. They absolutely do. The things the father in this movie goes through are hard to fathom. I'm not going to spoil them here, but trust me, they're wild. Fun fact, for those who don't know like me, Sirat in Islamic belief is used as a word to convey bridge to paradise. I found this movie interesting, but I wouldn't personally watch it again. I'd say critics will 100% enjoy this more than casuals would do. I'd even put it probably around the low good tier, but for me personally it goes into the mixed bag. And for casuals, I would say this is probably another skip. Blue Moon, a slow burn movie about famed lyricist Lawrence Hart who spends the night at a bar during the premiere of musical Oklahoma. Ethan Hawke hosts a terrific performance in this movie, showing us he still has it when it comes to complex role. Unfortunately, this is one of those movies that you either love or you hate. For critics, I'd say if you like historical biographies and tight set dramas that are very well shot and acted, you're going to enjoy this a lot. And on the casual side, I'm going to say that this is one of those that you can comfortably skip because it's one of those constrained movies where the emphasis is on the acting and the performances, not on the story. And most people will say that nothing really happens in this movie. The Secret Agent, a Brazilian political thriller set in the 70s during a military dictatorship. Wagner Moura plays a scientist on the run who hides in Recife, working undercover trying to dodge corrupt cops and hitmen sent after him, all while making plans trying to escape the country with his son. This was nominated for 4 Oscars and unfortunately it didn't win in any category. It was my personal pick for Best International Picture, which went to Sentimental Value instead. This movie is not quite a must-watch, but it sure is a great time. You got action, suspense, drama in a well-packaged, well-acted story. It's a bit on the longer side though, coming in at a bit over 2.5 hours. One caveat though, if you don't like watching movies with subtitles, this is 100% a skip. It's a Brazilian movie, but if you can get over that, it's a good to great time. If I had legs, I'd kick you. Rose Byrne delivers her performance of a lifetime, and if it wasn't for Jessie Buckley this year, she would have been my pick for Best Actress. This movie is about a psychotherapist mom whose life comes crashing down around her. Problems keep piling up. A sick daughter, a flooded apartment, an absent husband, a sketchy motel, and some unhinged clients that slowly drive her towards a complete breakdown, which Rose Byrne portrays beautifully. But all of this becomes exhausting by the end, and the end just leaves you wondering. It's brutal and the kind of movie that won't click with most people. For critics, this is a must-watch just for Byrne's performance alone, and for casuals, this is another one that you will just skip. Little Amelie and the Character of Rain, a French animated gem with truly stunning animation style that you usually only see in shorts. It's about a 2-year-old Belgian girl living in Japan who starts discovering the wonders of nature and human connections. Surprisingly dark for a kids movie. It's slow and introspective, so unless you're down for an 80-minute meditation on childhood wonder turning into existential dread, it might feel like a beautiful nap you didn't ask for. Listen, I know that critics are not exactly the biggest fans of animation, especially not when it comes to the Oscars, but I feel like the thematics of this movie, the animation style, and everything in this just warrants it a watch. If you're going to watch one of the animated movies, make it this one. And for casuals, I'm going to say that this has a unique enough animation style that I think you should check this one out. Arco, a sci-fi animated movie about a boy living in a faraway futuristic society who time travels back to 2075 during a climate apocalypse and has to learn to survive with others. Cool for animation fans and people who like ecological themes in movies, but for casuals it might feel like they time traveled to a very preachy future. Elio. Elio is a movie about a little kid that feels like an outcast after his parents' death, gets mistaken as the ambassador of Earth and gets abducted by a council of aliens, making new friends there and ultimately ending up finding himself by the end of it. I enjoyed Elio, but to be honest, most people have forgotten this movie came out last year, including myself. This is a very, I would say, mid movie, especially when it comes to Pixar, just very average. Zootopia 2. Finally, it only took 10 years for this buddy cop duo to come back. And although enjoyable, I can't help but feel a bit disappointed with this sequel. It feels more like Zootopia 1.5. It's basically the first movie with more chases and less fresh bits, and while still enjoyable, Disney clearly played it super safe and just went for the bag. And it worked out super well for them. The animation is still top notch, and overall it's a very enjoyable movie. I like the added thematics around gentrification, but even with that added, it's still not going to beat the original movie. For critics, this is going to go into the good category, and for casuals, this is the first movie that goes in the great category. It was just an accident. Iranian director Jafar Panahi's tense thriller about former political prisoners who kidnap a guy with a prosthetic leg because they're 99% sure he's the torturer who ruined their lives. Now they have to decide if revenge is worth it. Suspenseful, morally messy, and deliberately slow. For critics, I'd say this is a great time, but for casuals, this is another one of those niche international movies that most will find uninteresting. So for them, this is a skip. The voice of Hind Rajab. A haunting international drama about a young girl trapped under a car in Gaza and her phone call with the Palestinian Red Crescent Society as they attempt to rescue her. As a limited setting thriller mostly shot in a single room, it weaves tension into the story very effectively through great editing and inserting real audio from the event into the movie. It is an impactful watch, but not the kind of movie you'd call entertaining. Specifically not for casual viewers, but for critics who love dramas and heavy-hitting movies, this is definitely a must-watch. This is our first must-watch movie for critics. For casuals, this will be another skip. The Lost Boss. Real-life tragedy from 2018 turned into a 90-minute epic of survival against the forces of nature and the incompetence of human greed. The movie is about a bus driver and a school teacher trying to evacuate 22 kids from one of America's deadliest wildfires. The movie is tense and the VFX are genuinely impressive. The acting and script in some areas are rough though. The performances are great, but sometimes they felt like a bit too much. That said, this is a great time if you love disaster movies or movies based on real tragedies, not unlike The Voice of Hind Rajab. But in this case, the spectacle takes center stage. I recommend this. For critics, I'm going to say this is a good time, but for casuals, this is a great movie. Song Sung Blue. Kate Hudson, nominated for Best Actress, plays a Milwaukee hairdresser who, with her husband, played by Hugh Jackman, fronts a killer Neil Diamond tribute band in the 80s and the 90s. Then tragedy hits and she has to figure out how to move on. It's funny, heartfelt, but largely predictable, and it loses some of its steam in the second half. Still, an enjoyable drama that's worth seeing, especially if you're a fan of either Kate Hudson or Hugh Jackman. I'd say this one goes in a good category for both. The Ugly Stepsister, a surprisingly creative twist on a classic tale of Cinderella, focusing on the point of view of her stepsister. An interesting body horror movie, unhinged in the best way with some nasty scenes and a satire on the beauty standards that hits and is funny. If you're looking for something like a fairy tale version of last year's The Substance, but with more realistic imagery, this one is for you. It's quite predictable, we all know how Cinderella ends, but enjoyable nonetheless, especially if you're into body horror. I'm going to say this is probably a mixed one for critics since the horror genre is still massively overlooked and disrespected by them, but for casuals, I'd put this in a good tier. Train Dreams. The movie is centered around a quiet logger and railroad worker played by Joel Edgerton in the Pacific Northwest, whose life unfolds during an era of unprecedented change in the early 20th century America. The cinematography is incredibly gorgeous, and Edgerton's performance and subtle heartbreak is probably his career best. The movie depicts the beauty of an ordinary life and the passage of time, but it's 2 hours of basically not much happening except vibes, shots of nature, and introspective narration. So slow, it feels like a nap with beautiful scenery. That said, I personally love the movie because of its visuals and themes and would definitely watch it again. It's a slow burn that casuals will most likely hate, yet I'm still hesitant to place it in the skip category. I personally am going to put it into the mixed, but for most casuals this is 100% a skip. For critics though, this is 100% a must watch. Marty Supreme. 9 nominations, 0 wins. I'm surprised this movie won nothing. that's criminal. It was my pick for Best Cinematography and Best Original Screenplay, both of which went to Sinners. I think I'm not the only one shocked that it didn't win anything. This movie is a great time. The story centers around an ambitious young man who wants to be the best ping pong player in the world. The movie is beautifully shot, the performances are great. I especially love the focus on Marty's obsession with doing anything it takes to accomplish his dream, using his charm and unyielding confidence in his own skills. An obsession impressively portrayed by Timothée Chalamet. While on the surface it seems like a simple, widely enjoyable underdog story, which it clearly is, there's real depth to Marty's character for anyone willing to look closer. And I feel like this will be one of those movies people will continue to talk about and revisit for years, even without any Oscar love. This movie did incredibly well, both financially and critically, and it's one of those that I'm most confident in putting in a great tier for both of these. Bugonia got nominated for 4 Oscars and walked away with no wins. This one wasn't that surprising though. Honestly, what did surprise me though that Jesse Plemons didn't get a nomination for his performance in this movie. He was great and really stole the crazy conspiracy theories. The movie is about a man and his brother who kidnapped the CEO of a company because they think she is an alien. The movie is bonkers, entertaining, and thoroughly enjoyable, especially if you like dark satires. For this one, I'd say for critics, this will go in the good category. For casuals, I think this goes into a great time. Jurassic World Rebirth. Nominated for Best VFX, the movie is about a group of scientists that go to an island to steal dinosaur DNA in order to create a miracle drug. The action is alright, the VFX and the dinos look great, the acting is good, but the plot is very blatantly mediocre and the characters kind of one-dimensional. I initially was going to put this in the must-watch category for casuals as a no-brainer, but even the fans of the series seem to agree that this entry was very underwhelming. So I'm going to put it in the middle, into the good tier. And for critics, this is pretty much a very easy skip. Alright. It's time for the big leagues, the Oscar-winning movies, the main show, starting with Two People Exchanging Saliva, a surreal short film reminiscent of a Black Mirror episode, taking place in a dystopia where kissing is forbidden and payment for things is done with slaps to the face. It makes you wonder about the logistics of the world and how impossible it would seem to buy a house. Is there a cap on how many slaps someone can receive? If this sounds like something you'd be interested to watch, it's available for free on YouTube and I will link it in the description. Just like most Black Mirror episodes, it left me with wanting more. It was my personal pick for winner in the short movies category, and I got it right, sort of. For critics, I put this in a great category. For casuals, I would say it's a good time. The Singers is the other live-action short movie that tied for the win this year. This is only the 7th time in the history of the Oscars that this has happened. The movie follows a group of men at the bar who have a singing contest for $100. Funny, humane, beautifully shot, it goes by quickly and it shows a side of community among men that we don't often see in films. For critics, I would say this is a good time, and for casuals, I would put this in the mixed category. Avatar Fire and Ash, nominated for Best VFX, and to nobody's surprise, it won. VFX the movie, basically. No, seriously, was there someone who was questioning if Avatar will take this award? It's just James Cameron doing his thing. If you want to see the best CGI has ever looked so far, watch this movie, otherwise it's just okay. If you've seen the second movie, you've kinda seen this one too. That said, for casual, this is still an S tier movie, 100%. But for critics, I would put this in the mixed category. F1, nominated for 4 Oscars, Best Picture, Sound Editing, and VFX, taking home the win for Best Sound. The movie is about a washed-up Formula 1 racer played by Brad Pitt who returns to racing in hopes of becoming the best in the world. I love this movie, partially because I love a comeback story, but I can understand why some people call it shallow. But in terms of cinematography, editing, and sound, just like the director's last movie, it's a spectacle that is a feast for the senses on the big screen. And for that reason, this is another must-watch for the casuals. As for critics, I would say this is a good tier movie. Weapons. Nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Wow, talk about an unexpected win. This is a massive win for the horror genre. Despite the disrespect that the horror genre still receives critically, this year was a great year for horror movies. Hopefully, this will generate some positive buzz and potentially get more talented people into this underappreciated genre that continues to consistently deliver and get people into cinema seats. This is an amazing mystery horror movie about a class of students who mysteriously vanish on the same night at the exact same time, and the chaos that ensues afterward. Packed with incredible performances and a gripping mystery, this is a must-watch for every horror fan. For casuals, this is a great time, and for critics, I'm going to put it in the good tier. Hamnet. Nominated for 8 awards, it was my pick for Best Actress and Best Adapted Screenplay. I got one of those right. Like I said, if it weren't for Jessie Buckley's phenomenal performance in this movie, I would have picked Rose as the winner for Best Actress. It is a movie set in the late 16th century England about Shakespeare and his wife Agnes, played by Jessie Buckley, and how a tragic death in his family inspired the creation of his timeless masterpiece, Hamlet. Beautifully shot and directed, the performances in this are exceptional. I don't know who that little boy is or how they found him. I mean, auditions obviously, but based on his performance, kid's got a very bright future ahead of himself. This movie is also probably the one that made the most amount of people cry amongst all the Oscar nominees, and some people even hated the movie for that. I think that's unjust. If a movie manages to move you to tears, I think it deserves credit. This is a relatively slow movie. For critics, this is 100% a must-watch, and for casuals, I wouldn't quite say skip this one. I think I would put it in the mixed category. Sentimental Value. Nominated for 9 awards, went home with a single win. It was my pick for Best Supporting Actress, which went to Weapons instead. It did win Best International Film though. I'm just glad that at least it won something. This movie is about a father who asks his daughter to be in his next movie and the relationship among them and her other sister. The movie explores themes of family, memories, and how art can be used to help us reconnect with each other. This is a slow movie, beautifully written and directed and filled with incredible performances all around. This will be one of those international movies that will be brought up as a must-watch in years to come. This one is another one that is definitely a must-watch for critics, and again, I don't want to put this in the skip category for casuals, so I'm going to put it in the mixed one. Kpop Demon Hunters. Nominated for Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song, Golden. Talk about 100% win rate.
Flawless victory.
2 nominations, 2 wins. I picked it as winner for both categories and I was right. Not unexpected, this was a huge hit both commercially and critically. The animation is beautiful, vibrant, and filled with infectious energy, and the soundtrack is filled with record-breaking catchy tunes. The story is about a group of 3 friends who are K-pop superstars that slay both on stage and outside of it, while hunting demons to protect their fans. Netflix took a gamble with something novel that the original studio gave up on, thinking it would flop, and it paid off massively for them. This is without a question a must-watch for casuals. Frankenstein, 9 nominations, out of which it walked away with 3 expected wins: production design, makeup and hair, and costume design. It wasn't my personal pick for production design. I personally chose Sinners because I love the look of the vampires and the sets in that movie, but I understand why this one won. The movie is a long-awaited adaptation by Guillermo del Toro of Mary Shelley's novel by the same name. It's technically beautiful, cinematic, the makeup department have knocked it out of the park in this one. Jacob Elordi's transformation in this movie is incredible. I'm going to put this one for casuals as a must-watch. It's one of the more entertaining movies out of all of them in this list. For critics though, I'm going to say this is only a great movie. I wouldn't put it as a must-watch for critics personally. Sinners, the movie with the most nominations in the history of the Oscars. Nominated in 16 categories. Fun fact, that's more than the Oscars have started with. There were only 15 categories back in 1929. Out of those, it walked away with 4 wins. nominations for Best Actor, Best Cinematography, Best Original Score, and Best Original Screenplay. I only got 2 of those right, the one for Best Oscar and Best Original Score. This is my personal favorite movie from last year, and if you were only going to see one movie, I'd highly recommend this one. I didn't choose it for Best Picture because unfortunately I knew that it was not going to walk away with the big prize. The favorite was always going to be one battle after another for that one because of its cultural relevance. Sinners takes place in the Jim Crow era South of the 1930s, following twin brothers, both of them played by Michael B. Jordan in an absolute powerhouse performance, who return to their hometown to open a juke joint only to end up under siege by supernatural forces used as a metaphor for literal bloodsuckers of history. This one is yet another massive win for the fans of the horror genre. This movie is phenomenal. The score is insane, the cinematography gorgeous, that 70mm film look is chef's kiss, and the cast and acting is stellar. Paired with the award-winning script, it really is a total vibe. This is probably the least controversial pick on this list. This is a must-watch for both categories. And last but not least, the big winner of the night, one battle after another. 13 nominations, 6 wins. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Casting, and Best Editing. I only missed one of my predictions for this. I picked Hamnet for Best Screenplay, but one battle after another swept that one too. The story is about a former revolutionary played by Leonardo DiCaprio living off-grid who has to go on a wild road trip to rescue his daughter from a corrupt military official, Sean Penn. A thematically rich movie exploring themes of family, legacy, political resistance, and how there are consequences for your past actions. It's funny at times, action-packed, high-octane, and carries a political weight the Academy eats up. The movie is well edited, and although I think it should have been a bit shorter, I think the movie is in line with Paul Thomas Anderson's other works, drifting between comedy and drama. This is another one of those must-watch movies for critics, and for casuals, I'm going to say it's only a great movie. So, there you have it, the 2026 Oscar season in a nutshell. Whether you're looking for the high-octane spectacle of F1 or the emotional gut punch of Hamnet, there's a lot to catch up on. I've put the final tier list and a full table of ratings on screen now for the data nerds. If you disagree with my Marty Supreme take, or you think Avatar deserved to win more than just the Oscars for VFX, let me know in the comments. I read all of them. If you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe. This is only my second video, and if you missed my first one on the top 10 TV shows that ended in 2025, go check that out next. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you in the next one.